relating to your visit to Chile, how do you feel about coming here and relating with another researchers about that kind of or sharing this theory of omnivorous?
It's a really exciting opportunity. I was really glad to be asked and invited, and I'm looking forward to the debates at the Congress on Thursday and Friday. But it's also been nice to come here and get the chance to see another university and meet with some students and get some tough questions. Those are tough questions. So that's exciting in terms of potential future, return visits or other kind of forms of exchange between University of Warwick and University of Warwick.
Great. And relating to the theory itself, we are journalism students. So how this theory can relate to our work? I mean, maybe these people that consume all kinds of culture has some influence in the incrementing quantities of consumption in the media and of news, maybe. So maybe in general, how this can affect our job as journalists.
Well, I think one of the interesting things about the idea of cultural value that I was trying to kind of sketch in terms of cultural hierarchy is that traditionally it's been based on the pronouncements of academics or educators of various kinds, and they're the people who decide what's good or bad. That's been the kind of the way for, certainly in Western Europe, that's been the way for 150 years or so. Actually, in the last 20, 30 years, I believe those people are less important, and their authority is being usurped by a whole range of other kind of institutions. One of which is, I would argue, the institution of journalism. It's journalists who are for example, music journalists or lifestyle journalists or those kinds of critics or reviewers who kind of work in news, who use those kinds of channels to kind of give people pointers towards the kinds of culture that they might want to consume. So they have journalists, it seems to me, have a very important kind of strategic role in that kind of process. I should say, I'm not entirely convinced that that's a good thing, but it seems to me to be a very powerful role that journalists have, especially as they're very much kind of embedded in the kind of promotional apparatus of the cultural industry. So you would have when your film has been released, as part of your strategy, you would have, I need to be interviewed by these newspapers. I need to have my film reviewed in these newspapers. Have these reviewers review it, and use that then as an additional means of promoting a film or any other kind of cultural product. So I think journalists are very important in that process.
So journalists are becoming more like curators of the content that people are consuming?
They're certainly kind of mediators, if you like, mediators between cultural abundance. How the hell do you decide? Well, one of the ways you decide is you look at what a trusted journalist says. If someone who you think, I've liked the kind of thing that he or she has recommended to me in the past, if he or she recommends something to me, maybe I'll go and see it, or read it, or listen to it.
This tendency of omnivorism in this 10% of people, there comes another thing, like how do we measure the consumption of the content, because they are consuming a lot more content and different kinds of culture comparing to the people who used to consume just one kind of this information. So how we can measure or classify the information that they're consuming?
Well, I think it's one. I think it's the key problem of. It's one of the central problems with the omnivore thesis as a kind of critique of it, is that it is very much a kind of it's almost a product of the methods that are used to do collecting. So surveys of people participation are big and expensive, and the questions that they ask don't cover, I don't think, the range of cultural activities that people engage in. How could they? I mean, it takes forever if you think about it. You know, how do you capture that? So the best way to do it, it would seem to me, is to combine a kind of that kind of large-scale survey which allows you to claim certain things, so say, you know, to identify a population, identify trends within a population, but also to combine that with some sense of asking people to articulate what that what omnivorousness might mean to them. So you're not just kind of labelling people in a kind of zoological way. You're not just saying that's an omnivore there. You're allowing omnivorousness what the meaning of omnivorousness to emerge from what they actually say about how they feel about what they consume. And you know, not all studies of omnivorousness are done, but I think that's the way. It's through that kind of process that you can get a broader sense of what omnivorousness might mean. Just a kind of mathematical, statistical category.
In that sense, it's like that this new kind of people is like breaking the barriers of the stereotypes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. But you know, when you make surveys, for example, you almost necessarily have to put people in categories. You have to put people in categories in order for a survey to make sense. You have to sort of say, you have to tick a box, and you know, none of us fit wholly into the boxes in which we're put. You know, we're always more than a bundle of variables, and you know, some sort of qualitative interview about these things allows that complexity to emerge a little bit better.
Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem.